short, focused indie adventure can actually act like a palate cleanser, especially if you spend a lot of your free time trekking through sprawling 100-hour RPGs. That thought kept me optimistic as I booted up Outrider Mako, the debut action adventure from Asamado Games. I had hoped for a brisk, breezy romp through an indie adventure that would refresh me before my next epic. Instead though, I found this sometimes charming, often frustrating experience that never quite escapes mediocrity. Outrider Mako introduces our silent heroine, Mako, who plummets into the Maoi world, a pastoral realm ruled by deities. Her only ticket home is through the Boomin' Delivery Center, a job that hands her magical parcels addressed to those very gods. Each successful delivery earns a stamp. Collect enough and a portal opens up back to reality. The hook honestly reads like a classic fetch quest setup, but the story never evolves beyond the elevator pitch. Maoi is populated with a parade of quirky NPCs and chatty coworkers who unload page after page of exposition, yet almost none of it offers depth or meaningful flavor. Dialogue often boils down to "go here" or "fight there," which set my expectations early on. The narrative here is merely content to be window dressing. Choosing a light plot is perfectly fine, yet Outrider Mako spends a surprising amount of energy justifying its looping structure. And with that much table setting, you expect some payoffs. What you actually get are dry acknowledgements and a protagonist whose silence feels less mysterious and more like a missed chance to bond with the world that she roams. Gameplay is where every design decision either lands or unravels. Each job will drop Mako into a medium-sized zone filled with lumbering foes, mineable ore veins, quest givers, and branching paths toward the exit. Mako's equipment focuses on momentum. She can launch into a homing pounce, slash with a quick rod swing, or charge a longer strike that doubles as a gap closer. All moves share a single heartbeat, which is a material known as Red Nectar. After sticking a leap, you pour nectar onto any targets underneath it. This crimson fluid slows and weakens enemies, melts stubborn materials like metal chests, and even spreads to nearby monsters when charged. Layering nectar, then flipping between airborne pounces and grounded combos, feels nicely during execution. On a good run, there's a satisfying loop of launching, splashing, and shredding everything in sight, and it feels good. Unfortunately though, runs rarely stay that fun for long. Nectar reserves drain fast, and the game does little to replenish them consistently. You could unlock blessing talismans that spawn nectar after kills or buy consumable syringes that manufacture a drop, but both aids reset whenever you enter a new map. And once you're out of nectar, Mako's athletic flurry devolves into a sluggish slog. Her default rod attacks is still quick, but it barely hurts any of the enemies, while bosses soak damage rather than engage in elaborate patterns. Battles that were over quickly now last several minutes too long, killing the flow that the developers clearly wanted to showcase. POW orbs try to pick up the slack by juicing Mako's next basic hit, and trust me, the boost is welcome, yet never enough to offset nectar famine. The frustration peaks during rainstorms when nectar inexplicably loses all potency. My first mandatory fight under cloudy skies dragged on for nearly 20 minutes before I realized the mechanic was temporarily dead. A later talisman in the game nullifies the weather debuff, but gating the system behind a random drop feels like punishment rather than challenge. As you get into the later hours, the routine unfolds. Grab a contract, dive into Maoi's outskirts, mine the resource that each god demands, and assemble packages at scattered workbenches. Crafting tables also forge healing tonics and throwable bombs, though recipes are simple and resources are plentiful, so inventory management never grows too complex. The fields themselves fare better. Each contains several shortcuts, optional alcoves, and vertical detours that reward active eyes with talismans or currency. Presentation counts for a lot when mechanics stumble, and Outrider Mako at least commits to an attractive watercolor aesthetic. Character models wear soft outlines and pastel shading, giving Maoi an inviting storybook vibe. Particle effects for nectar splashes are nice without obscuring the action, and subtle motion blur on pounces enhances the speed. Audio is comparatively lightweight. Upbeat woodwind tracks work to quiet zones, but intense fights loop a single percussion riff that wears thin after a few repeated encounters. Mako's attacks have some impact behind them, yet enemies grunt through recycled samples, and the gods themselves only speak in text. Outrider Mako lands in an awkward category of light action games that flirt with greatness but never reach it. Traversing Mayoi's gentle panoramas can be pleasant, and the Nectar-powered pound system occasionally locks into a thrilling rhythm, but those bursts, however, are usually sandwiched between long stretches where your signature mechanic is missing in action. Pair that imbalance with the threadbare plot and one-note bosses, and you have a journey that fades from memory soon after the credits roll. There's a version of Outrider Mako that is much better. You know, if Red Nectar was abundant, if talisman progress carried over, and if the stage penalties prompted a crafty workaround instead of a hard stop, combat would be much better. Tie in boss health pulls, sprinkle story beats with personality, and this delivery service could have stamped a lasting impression. As it stands, returns are minimal and fragile. You may still find some joy in hopping across poles, splashing crimson goop, and watching foes crumble beneath a well-timed combo, but those moments arrive inconsistently and vanish quickly. Noisy Pixel is giving Outrider Mako a 5.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth, and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.